Hi everyone, can you indicate if you can hear me? All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session. Please, you're going to bear my background. It's not going to be that loud. Uh, but in case it gets too loud, please just let me know so I can see how uh, to adjust things. Okay. Welcome everyone to this session. It's quite been a long week. I don't know why the week was so long like that, but I think the week was really very long. How are you guys doing? How is the training going? Hi everyone. Please just indicate if you can hear me now. Hopefully, I should be audible. All right, Joel. Thank you very much for indicating. So, I think I should just dive straight into the questions that are there. But I really did ask, how was your week? How is the program going? Is it overwhelming for some people? Hmm. Well, I don't understand that statement. Godspeed. Okay, too fast. Oh, sorry about that. But that's I think it's just updating you that it's not everything that will go according to your pace. You need to always see how you can adjust things to be according to you. Like Some cases it might seem fast. It will seem fast maybe because you have a lot of things to do and you cannot catch up. So let's just see what can I say about that. Courage, keep up. The thing is, I don't know. I can't say we'll slow down with the program. So you just have to see how to pull up, right? Yeah, we are always at your disposal in case you need help. Just feel free to reach out. Okay. I don't know. So some guys really keep asking one question over and over. It's because they don't attend the live session. They don't, yeah, they don't even mind to rewatch. And in those cases, guys, I want you guys to give me a suggestion. Like, if you are the one and they ask you same question about 4 or 5 times, what will be your response? Like, that- just tell me. Imagine that you were the one tutoring and somebody has to ask one question over and over, and you keep answering those questions on the live session, and somebody from somewhere keeps asking the same question over and over. What will be your response? Like, what will you do? Well, I'll be waiting for your response on that. Let me just dive straight into the questions that are here. There are not many, but hopefully we'll see what to do. So I'll start with the first question. Oh, somebody doesn't. Let me see. Okay, sorry. I think I'm very far behind. Um, okay, somebody is talking about not understanding the assignment or registration form, especially when one page needs to be sent to a file called userdata.csv. Um, yeah, I think this assignment has passed, but it's quite. I think we have done that in this session several times. Like we have done that. So you are not sending a file, you are sending data from one file to another, right? That's called form action. When you have a form, it has an action where when you click on submit, the data should go to. That is what was needed. You did not need to send a file from one. No, I don't think that's what was asked of you. You are submitting data to a form and there's supposed to be some logic that will handle that data. Yeah, that will handle that data. So that logic, it will not be found on the same page as the form. Yeah, as a form, but the logic will be found on a different file. So in your form, you are going to add the action tag. Is it action element? Yeah, for front end people, you add the action that is going to specify whether data is going to be submitted to. I think this has passed, but some, yeah, more people were actually getting it. If it was that people were not getting it, then I would have been worried. But anyway, let me go to the next. So how to edit and update specific data in a CSV file, how to update. And okay, this yeah, I know this is not even part of the assignment. I think this person just wants to learn. So in case you want to update data, there was one thing we did before. We tried checking if if some data already existed in a database in a CSV file, and then we're able to perform some logic. Just give me some few minutes. Let me see how to pull up my work from XAMPP. That should be htdocs lam. So I think where's that? Yeah, learning PHP. I think. Yeah. So I think this question, if somebody was, if the person that asked this question was their last class, you actually see how to check if data already exists. And yeah, I think we did that. Let me just pull out this stuff. I hope you guys are still getting me. Let me just pull out this stuff here. That was form action. Yeah. So let me see this. Yeah, this is not what I was looking for. Form.php. And yeah, I did add some validations in here. I'm going to walk you through that. There was something I wanted to check. So last time we were trying to look through a file, and when we looked through that file, we wanted to check if some data already existed. I think that's the file I'm looking for. It seems I deleted it. Ah, that's bad. Okay, so we had something, yeah, I think so. So while it is not yet the end of the file, something like that. Yeah, I think it's this one. And we went through the whole stuff to check if data already exists. So we wanted to this while look, you could look through a particular row or a particular file. What you want to do there is that instead of checking if this user already exists, in case, for example, this row one was the email, you check if the email exists. Yes, if the email exists, then you are going to know that, okay, you could update the row at index 2. I think we should try doing that. Let me see how, wait, but this could be part of the assignment. And I don't want to do the assignment for you. Last time, I think I almost did the whole assignment. But anyway, let me just show you something. So in case this row one was, let's say we wanted to update some data right now, we could literally look through the file and check for that particular row or that particular data. And how do you check for that particular data? You could check if the email or the username or one of the fields exists. Wherever that exists, normally if we're having a database, no two people will have the same email. So we are going to look for that unique property of a person and then update the other fields. What I'm trying to say is this, okay, so while we get the rows, right, we check if the email exists, right? In case where the email exists, this is what we could do. We could rather, instead of printing out email exists, we could update by setting should I say row at index 2, for example, to be equal to the password. Say you wanted to update the password, and that is going to work, right? That is going to work. So I think, yeah, I think so. That is how you basically update it. I might want to come back to this when we are done with the assignment. I think I got some issues because I the last time I almost did the full assignment for you guys, and yeah, that was a problem. I'm not supposed to be doing that. So about updating it, what you need to do is you need to check the whole file firstly, whether somebody like that or yeah, some data like that exists. All right. So you could check by one of the fields. You could check by email. You could check by username. You cannot be checking by password because literally two people will have the same password. Yes. And logically, you will not want to go and update another person's data. All right. So you can check by email or by username. If username exists, then you have to look for that row that has the username and then update now the other columns. All right. So that's basically how you are going to update it. The person who asked this question, like I said, I don't want to do it fully for you right now. Yeah. Okay. The next question here. There are not many questions, but let me just try. The next question is talking about somebody is asking for link to PHP classes. Ah, how do I answer this? The link to PHP classes, I think the Google Calendar you have should have the YouTube links. Does it have, guys? Please just indicate, does the Google Calendar have the links to the YouTube session? All right, thank you very much. So the person who asked this question, if you are having problems accessing the class, is it should be probably because you have not added the calendar. See how to add the calendar so you get the YouTube links all the time. Okay, so let me see how to get to the next question. And please, can my SQL be used as SQL? About this question, you need to know the difference between SQL and MySQL. Okay. MySQL is a database management system. SQL is a structured query language. So MySQL will basically manage databases using SQL. I don't know if you get this. Let me try to go to XAMPP and show you something. Let me see. Localhost. Oh, let me see. Since my XAMPP was not running, so let me see how to start XAMPP and access PHP admin. So what I was trying to say is, let me see what's happening. Okay, so what I was trying to say is that MySQL is a database management system, and that's basically what you have here right now. It's a database management system, but you can't manage databases, especially relational databases, when you don't have a means of managing it. And what's the means of managing it? You need SQL, right? That is the language you use to manage databases. For example, if I have this database called test, now through this platform, MySQL, this is the MySQL platform, I can write queries to create table. What could be the table name? Test table. And yeah, let me just id int not null auto increment name varchar 200 not null. And basically, let's just go with that. So what I just did now, what's the problem? Um, so what I just did right now is that I am using my SQL to manage a database. And how am I managing a database? So what's this error? Uh, let me see. Sorry. So I'm using what's this? I'm using my SQL to manage a given database. So within this database called test, I am using SQL to create table and do all of those stuff. But where I am doing all of this is on my SQL. So the difference between my SQL and SQL is that my SQL is a database management system, while SQL is the language that I will use to manipulate data within the database. I don't know if this does help. For the person who asked this question, please just check if I yeah, verify. Does that help? That's the simplest I can explain when it comes to MySQL and SQL. The two are not the same, so you shouldn't be confused about that. So me going to the next question. So I should teach about functions in PHP, especially when using forms. Guys, did you guys watch the tutorials? Yeah, the tutorials actually do provide stuff like that, but I'll try my best to take maybe 5 maximum 5 minutes to just show you something with that. So yeah, so just indicate, should I go ahead with this? Like should I show you that, or you learn that on your own? Okay, Anthony is saying that it does, but it doesn't show on your phone. or you could literally set your phones to do that. Your phones could actually show it and even set reminder, like give you notification 30 minutes before time or before the class. I think so. So you can actually set it up. It's maybe because you did not do a proper setup and so on. So I was asking if I should yeah, if I should do functions here with forms. Even if I'm doing it, I'm going to try not to be direct. The last time we were really very direct. I did the assignment for some people. Like so yeah, just indicate. Should I do the functions? Okay, so if one person says do the function, I'm not going to do much, but let me just show you guys something. So basically, you want to first of all know what a function is. So let me just create a new folder here called functions. And within that folder, now I'm going to create a file called form. Let me call it index.php, and another one is going to call index action.php. So I have these two files, and this is going to be basically my form. So simple login form, and oh, this is not good. HTML5 login, and yeah, let me just come out with this template right now. So basically, I have a simple login form that takes in the username and password. What about Bootstrap? So let me have Bootstrap here, and uh, some small styling. Let me see if it comes up. If it does not come up, uh, yeah, this is some validation which I am just going to ignore for now. Mm. Well, my network seems to be really very slow. Okay, this is basically just duplicating a previous form that I have had before. So this configuration, well, so guys, what I'm trying to do right now is just to come up with a form. I don't want to type, like I said. I don't want to type. Okay, so I'm going to remove all of these other guys. Maybe we'll go through it, but for now, just remove it. A simple form, like very simple right now. I have so I have the email input field. I have the password input field. I'm going to get rid of every other thing here. Label for passwords. Let's see. Okay. So I have email and password, and then a submit button. I think that's okay for now, right? So we have this basic form here, right? I'm sure this is not a problem, right? Yes, we have this basic form here. Let's just try to preview it. I'm going to go to localhost / learning / PHP / forms. I think. Oh, okay. Let me see what I have here. Oh, sorry, function. Okay, so I have that index here, and this is a simple login form. When I fill this data and submit, nothing should happen for now, basically. Yes. What we want to do is that we want to define the function to handle some logging, but I'm not really going to do the logic for you. I'm just showing you how you're expected to do it. So okay, this is the login form, and our form, the action should be form action .php, because oh sorry, index action, index, oh, keyboard is acting up. All right, so index action.php, we have a simple form. For front end people, full stack people, at least you should be understanding this by now. This is just simple bootstrap classes to help me start the form, right? So I have a login form that takes in the email. Note that the input field has the name property, right? And these names here, like name equal email and name equal password, they are very important, like very important. You guys should take note of that. How are they important? When I come to this index, right? Normally, uh, if we set uh, posts submit, right? Assuming that our form, let me come, assuming that our form here has a submit button with the name submit, right? This check here is going to check, okay, has the submit button been pressed? All right. So if it has been pressed, let me extract the data. So I'll have the name, oh, sorry, the email to be the email, and the password to be the password, right? Basically, at the moment, I want us to print it out, like print email and password. So echo email, echo password. So I'm going to concatenate this with some break. All right, let's just check if this works. So I'll pass in the passwords and I'll click on submit. Okay, we still have errors because we did not refresh this, and okay, so we have it passed out here, so we are good. Now let's go to where we are going to actually treat functions, right? Okay, Samuel, the difference between post and request is that request is kind of a global stuff, sorry, a general stuff. Requests could be get, post, put, and so on, right? Post is specific to post method, get is specific to get method, but request can either be a post request or a get request or a put request. Most of the times you will not want to use request, you want to use the specific method passed in from the form. All right, Samuel, I'm sure I just answered your question. Okay. Okay, so basically we are printing out this data now. And how did we get it? We came to this form and we defined these fields for email and password, and we passed in this name attribute inside our input fields. Then we came to the index, or yeah, the action, the logic file, and we checked if there was a submit button and said okay, there was. Then we extracted the data from the post array, then we just printed it out. Basically that is how it's going to be. But now let's talk about functions. What is a function? A function is basically a piece of code that is kind of dedicated to do something particular. For example, we want a simple function to calculate the sum of something. Now, let me first of all comment this. We'll come back to this later. Let's assume that we had, uh, let me see, read, what should I do? Okay, let's say we had a variable called num1, and we said it's equal to 5, and num2 was equal to 10. Then we want to, yeah, we want to print out the sum, right? Then we come again and we define num3 20 and num4 to be 30. Then again, I want to echo out the sum. Like I'll keep on writing num1 plus num2 all the times, right? But with functions, we could just define a simple function that will just we'll just call it each time we want to get the sum of these two numbers, right? Now, how am I going to do that? Let me enlarge my screen a bit. How am I going to do that? So I could come here. How do they define function? Use the function keyword and then the name of, I don't like this auto completion. I'll call the function add, and then I'll pass in the argument. For now, let me just define a simple function. Let me disable this guy. All right. So basically, let's first of all just take our echo method. For example, we want to just echo out something like this is me, or let me say greetings equal to hello world, right? And I want to echo greetings, right? Yes, you know that this echo already exists, but to some extent, the truth is that this is also a function. This echo here is a function that is used to print out something. And you could define your own defined echo. For example, now let's do the basic function. So to define the function, use the function keyword, then the name of the function that you want to pass in. I thought I disabled this. Okay, so you pass in the name. So I could say the name of the function will be called greetings, right? For now, we are not going to take in anything as argument. Then I'll just echo out something like hello world, right? So this is a block of code that has been dedicated to do a particular thing, like just to greet. And how am I going to work with this? I'm going to comment all of this. I can just come here and call the function, right? And say greetings. And let's see what happens here. If I go back to my browser and go to index and click enter, you see hello world, like it just printed out the stuff on the browser, right? So that is what a function will do. It is dedicated to do a particular thing. Now let's talk about a function taking in an argument, right? So sometimes you want to actually, for example, you wanted to greet somebody with a name. So you want to take in the person's name and greet the name. Now, basically, uh, you first of all, if you wanted to do normal programming, you would be like get name from standard in. Let's see about this. Get name from std in. Yeah. So a minute. Sorry guys, I was trying to set up something. Okay, so let's come back to where we were before. We said okay, we wanted to get the name from standard in, and basically what we want to do is there are many ways to do this. So I could say name is equal to something like read line, and then I say enter name, and then I greet the name. For example, echo hello, and then I concatenate it with name, right? So this one just gets somebody's name and print it out. And let's try to check that PHP index, and we okay enter name, and I say Andrew, and it says hello Andrew, right? Now basically you do this, but if we wanted to do it as a function, right? Assuming that we are not actually getting the name, we want to pass in the function to get the name for us. So I could pass in the name here, and I'll just kind of come here now and be like echo hello name, right? And this is going to work. Like if I come here now and just try to call this function like uncomment this and say, for example, stop on my keyboard. Okay, so for example, if I say Andrew, right, and then I try to run this function, you see that it's going to be the same thing. Like it's going to echo out my name. So functions are specified to do some particular task. Like we have, yeah, we just have blocks. You could define functions as blocks of code that are dedicated to do some particular thing within your program. So now let's come back to where we were before. Back to our sum. I'm going to comment a lot this time. So instead of repeating echo num1 plus num2, we could define a function here and be like, okay, function add, and then I pass in the first and the second, right? Now, this thing should be activated. So if I say, okay, I want to add num1 and num2, I could literally just echo out num1 or A plus B, right? And this is going to work like if I call this function here, let me call it add 3 and 5 together. If I try to run this, go to the terminal, PHP index, you see it print out the sum of the two numbers here. All right, so that's what functions are meant to do, defined to perform some particular task. Okay, that is the function. I think all of this was just an answer, so I'm going to send it right to the bottom, like very far. Okay, so that we have this back here. So let's come back to this form and define a function now that will handle some of that input. Hey, guys, can you hear me? I hope I'm not talking to myself. All right, thank you. Sure, I'm sure you can hear me. So let me come back to this now. I'll define a function that is going to handle the login. I'm not going to write the logic for the login, right? I'm just going to create a function that should do something. So if I want to define the function, I'll be like, all right, function, and I give it a name and say, okay, it's the login. What is it going to take? It's going to take in what? The email, right? And the password, right? And it's you can write your logic here. You can now write your logic here to handle the login. For now, I'm going to just kind of, okay, echo, let's say, echo out the email, and oof, let me echo out the email and the password, right? Echo password. All right. So now this has been defined, but it doesn't do anything here until you have decided to call it. All right. So now in this logic that you have here, you could basically come here and okay, now I want to call the function to handle the login. So I'll just call the name of the function login, and then I pass in the email, which is this one here. So I could literally just give this a different name so that you should see my email and call this my password so that you see that those names are basically not the same. So I have to pass in here my email and my password, right? And let's see now how this works, right? So define this function. Now on our form, we've taken in the email and the password. When we submit this form, it comes in here, right? And extract that data into these two variables, my email and my password. Then calls this function. Now, if I kind of hover on it, you see that it's a function, right? And you see it takes two arguments, right? And this is the function that we define here. Basically, so if you just call this, let me comment this. If you just call this, you see I'm already having an error because I've commented it. Okay, so you need to make sure you define the function before calling it. Okay, so now let me try to run this. How am I going to run it? This is going to run on the browser rather. So back to our form. Let me refresh and okay, say Samuel. And what? When I click on submit, oh, sorry, gmail.com. When I click on submit, you see that it still print out the email and the password. But in this case now, what happens is that we define the function to do that. So basically, you could now take it from here and be like, okay, so open the CSV file. Let's open the CSV file. Open the CSV file. So what could be the file? Uh, File is equal to f open, passing the file name. What's the file name even? File.csv, right? And then we pass in the mode. In this case, it's just a read mode because we are not writing in anything. Let's see. Okay, the next thing is we want to check whether that file exists or whether this data exists within the file, right? So we have to look through the file and check if the data exists. So yeah, I just had to complete this. So we look through the file. Let me be writing it one after the other. Let me just write this one after the other. Okay, so what we want to do is, okay, now let's go step by step. We have our file opened, right? So we could literally just be like, okay, if there was a file opened, then we do stuff. All right, so we use a while loop. We get each line of the CSV file. Maybe we could just give this variable to be the line. While row is equal to fget CSV. And then we pass in the file, right? While we are getting each line, we want to check if the first, like, let me show you the file. There's a file. Does it even have some data? Okay, so we want to look through it and notice CSV is comma separated. Let me kind of remind you about that. This is index 0, this is index 1, and this is index 2. All right. So if I come back to this, what I need to check is that if index 0 is equal to, let's say, my email, and let's say index, which one is our password? So let's go back there. The last index is our password. So an index 2, let's say row at index 2 is equal to uh okay, password. So if in this case, then we want to say, okay, let's just echo out something. Echo, you have successfully logged in, right? And let's also check if the password is wrong. So it could be like if else if I hate typing. Else if row at index 0 is equal to the email, and row at index 2 is not equal to the password, right? This is for the case where the email is correct and the password is wrong. You could echo out wrong password. Then let's just take a different scenario. Let me just, in the case where none of these are applicable, let's just echo out something. Incorrect credentials. Right. So this is basically it. We have, okay, we look through the file and we check. There are really better ways to do this, I think. So you look through the file and you check if so I could just use exit here instead, so that we don't have to keep on looping. This is a really very basic way to do this. Okay, so we look through the file and check if password credentials match. We echo out something else, we echo out something else, and so on. Let me just try to, yeah, let's try to run this. I don't know if I'm having some issues somewhere. Maybe this my comments are making the code very messy. Okay, so this is a file opened, and yeah, let's handle the case where we could not open the file. Echo could not open file. Okay, so we have that now, and let's just try to check it out a bit. Maybe we have errors. If you discover it, let me know. Okay, so if I refresh this, I see could not open file. So that means there is a problem. File equal fopen file.csv. Okay, let me see what's the problem with the file. Oh, yeah, the file is somewhere far, so I might have to reference the path correctly. So let me come back to this. It is one directory backward, I think. Yeah, one directory backward. So let me see that again. Okay, we have incorrect credentials. Good. So let's come back to this. Now we have tried to perform some simple login function here that loops through a CSV file and checks if data matches and so on. Now let's test it correctly. So we have Samuel and we have something like test password, and when we click on login, you get incorrect credentials. If I try to get some data here, uh, which data is here? So let's get this email, paste it here, password. Get wrong password because this password that we passed in here was incorrect. Now let's try to pass in the correct password and see you have successfully logged in. So you see that this is basically some simple login function that we just defined. I don't know if I was really too fast, but let me just try to go through it again. So we have this form that takes in the username and password of the user, and this file that performs some logic, right? We check if it is post submit and so on. Then we call the login function. This login function is what we try to define here. So this one, what it does is open the file in read mode, right? This one checks if file was opened, right? Then loop through each line of the CSV file, right? And check if password, if email and password match, right? And if it matches, you should print out this. This one checks if email matches and password does not, right? If so, we print out wrong password, and then this one uh, unhandled case. So this is for a case where, okay, we don't know what happened, right? Printing correct credentials. This is basically how you perform a login. Guys, I hope I did not just mess up somebody's brain right now. But yeah, this is how you do it. So yes, I think this is it. If you I hope you can hear me. And do you need me to explain some other thing before I click on the next? Because there's something I wanted to do here that might really be useful, not for the any of these tasks, but for you maybe in your development. So just indicate, uh, is it clear? Okay, so somebody is saying that I should try logging in with the second and third credentials. Let's see. Basically, okay, let's try this out. Like this. Um, let's hope we don't kick an error here because there's some data that doesn't have a value. Let's check the other password. This password is the same. Now, if you notice here, there is an empty row, right? There's an empty column. So let me just do that. And if I click on submit, we get incorrect credentials because of this fact. Let me try to pass in something. Let me add some data here because that could be the problem. So let's say some data, right? Just to make sure that we have complete columns. We could handle that, but Let me try this out again. What is the password? The email is this. If we are wrong, then we'll see what is going wrong. Okay, password. Password. And when we click on this, we get incorrect credentials. Yeah, so let's go back to the data. We're getting correct credentials here, probably because of the exit. Let me see this. Let me just kind of comment out this exit for now. Refreshing this. Okay. Yeah, I think our while loop has a problem which I don't want to fix right now. You could take some time to go through that while loop. So basically, our exit was causing in some issues. Let me show you something. Uh, yeah, let me just try this again so we get this clear. Oh, why does it keep on doing this? So see this. All right. So we have how many loops? We have one, two, three, and four. And if we come here, there are four columns here. So you need, I'll leave you to handle how you are going to not display this for each of the rows and get just the actual data. There's another function that you could do that. You don't need a while loop. You just need to get the corresponding row and yeah, the corresponding row and the columns. There's a function to do that. So basically, the problem was that this exit that we have here is that okay, for the first row, it just went for the first row, and then if it finds out that okay, something was wrong, it will print it out and then just exit the while loop. That is where the problem was coming from. So yeah, so I think that is it. So maybe let me uncomment this and try to incorrect credentials. You are successfully logged in. So the first one, right? It will look through, it will go to this first one, then come to this while loop. The first one will not go, but this one will go, right? Then it's going to print out this incorrect credentials. Then it goes to line 2, which has our credentials. It will come to this one, it meets this condition, and it is true, then it will print it out. That's exactly what you have here. All right. So there are really many. I mean, it's a simpler way or a better way to handle this. That's something you should check. The person who asked me to do the second credentials, who was that? I think you tried it, and that's good. Like seriously, that's good. If the user wants to sign up, you don't want me to tell you how the user wants to sign up, right? This user signing up is like just writing data to the CSV file. That's it. Sign up is like, okay, create another function. You could create another function here called function register, which will take in the email or maybe the name, the email, the password, and so on, right? And basically just write the logic for normal, the same file that you created to do registration. Just write the normal logic for registration here. So you could write your normal logic for registration here, and then uh, I think in these projects, I decided to make things a little bit, I don't know how to call that, but I wanted to organize some stuff. So to some extent, there was another file called user action.php. And what this file simply does is that it just takes the request and routes it to the correct, should I say correct file or correct logic that it should go to. For example, so I could remove this here, like all of this, right? And come here. Oh, sorry, this user action and paste it there, right? Now, I think you'll be familiar with this if you have already gone ahead. So I could create another uh, if statement like else if is set. Let me just is set not submit again. This one could be called register, right? If it said register, I should call the register function here, and I should pass in the email, the name, and the password. So basically, this is how most of the times, before frameworks came, like this is basically how the logic will be done. You have a single file that you decided to define and then route everything there so that anywhere some request is coming, it comes to this file before the file chooses where it should go to. I think, yeah. So you guys should just see, um, yeah, that is it. This is not what I really wanted to do. Like the session is already over and we haven't done what I wanted to do. Okay, so for example, I want us to do some small thing here. Instead of kind of printing out this stuff, what if we printed it out back on this form, like some validations that you guys have already done before? I'm not going to use this function. I'm just going to explain what I already did before, right? So this was a simple registration form which we did before. What I did is I added some validations. Now, let me show you something. This registration form basically, does this even comment? Yeah, it doesn't. This registration form basically, okay, it takes in the name, it takes in the email, and it takes in the password, right? Then it submits this data to what's the name of action.php, which is this file, right? Now, in this action.php, all right, we get in the name, the email, and the password normally, right? Then we define a different uh, validation array. For example, we could call it just an array. This is for validation. And this one is going to be an array that we are going to put in some errors inside in case we had some issues. So for example, we check if this name that we passed here was empty, right? Then we add it. If it was empty, we add it, right? Like name is required. I think you guys did arrays before, and this is how you can add. This is one of the ways you can add something into an array. You add the key, then you set the value. Check if the email is empty. If it is empty, you also add it. You check if the password is empty, you also add it. And then at the end, right, we check if this validation, the array, was empty. Like, sorry, if it is not empty, this is what this function does here. If this validation array is not empty after all of this, that means if it is not empty, if there are some errors, then what should we do? We should set a session, right? Have you guys done sessions before? Yes, I think so. You should have touched sessions before. So you set a session and you set that array to it. So this now will be an array of arrays. Then we'll redirect back to form.php. Now within form.php, we are going to be able to access this session variable that we've set here. Now what I want to do is, okay, coming back to this, let me see. What's the name of this file? Let me show you what I was talking about. What's the name of the file? Form.php. Yes, form.php. All right, so this is the basic form. So let me show you how the validation works. So my name and something, my email, and then I'll not set in the password. Now I click on submit. Oh, sorry, let me just give in this email at gmail.com. If I click on submit, you see this is the validation I'm talking about. Like you get this stuff here that okay, password is required. If I refresh this, it goes. If I come back here and don't put name and put email and put in the password and I click submit, you also get name is required. If I don't fill any and click on submit, all of them shows required. That is how validation. Guys, please just give me 5 minutes or yeah, I think we are almost, we have passed the time. Okay, so here within this action, right? Once we've set this to a session, we know that, okay, this session now already exists with this value. So anywhere on the page, that's what sessions do. Anywhere on the page, we can access that. So that means back in our form.php, let me close all of these other files that are not used. Back in our form.php, now notice what I did. So I check now for that session that I defined. This is the session called validation. And like I said, this is now what they call an array of array because, or a multidimensional array, because this is a validation array, and that validation array also has some keys within. Let me show you that. So you see that we define an empty array and we are also adding kind of key value pairs and associative array. So we have name, we have email, and we have password. And that is what we are going to check here. So we check if the name exists within that session. If it exists, this is a simple bootstrap class that now is used to print out that message that exists within that validation. So basically, that is it. This next line just destroys the whole session that we had said before. And somebody is talking about so one of the assignment you gave us a particular number didn't have a correct answer. I skipped it. Now I'm surprised you had to create that zero. Please say why. You don't skip a question, even if it doesn't have an answer. I remember I posted on Slack several times that you should submit the closest answer. It is not as if I was not marking answer. At least you were supposed to submit something. Now, guys, you guys need to notice something. In case something is wrong, or if you have a question that is wrong, if it was from the teacher's end, for example, what will happen is this: the teacher will not give you a mark if you did not do something on that, like if you did not attend. All right. Now, I also want you to know that in case it was the system that was grading, you will have also scored a zero because it was empty. So I think the problem was that you did not submit something. All of the other people who submitted something had their mark. All right. So I needed to do that because if you left it empty like that, I could literally go to number one, number two, and then when I reach number seven, I could consider it that number eight that you submitted to be number seven, and then there will be no number 10. So you could even keep a dot there, like even normal dot to show that okay, this is question 10 or question 7. I think that's it. So Anthony, you did not get a mark because you did not submit anything. So, guys, this was the aspect of validation I wanted to talk about. I know this can be a little bit tricky at the moment, but this is the aspect of validation I wanted to talk about. You can do validation within your logic and then save it into a session, and then back in all the pages, you can be able to access the session. All right. So it is same for this user action. if I want to access a session, I need to always start it. So I could say session start. You guys should watch the tutorials on session. So I have session start and God, let me come back to this user action. All right, this is where. All right, so I could basically just come here, and here I could be like, okay, session start. I start my session, and then I check here, like in this case, right? If um, the username and the password were correct, I could just literally do what I would I would set a session, and I could say username is equal to, let me set it to the user email, for example, right? And then let me just try to redirect somewhere else. Redirect header and location. I set it back to the index.php. So index.php, right? Now I don't need to echo this stuff out, right? Even this one is not useful anymore. Now, if I go back to this index.php, I could literally start a session here, like maybe at the top or here. Good. Let me do some PHP here. PHP. Let me close the PHP and then come now here. What I need to do is okay. I could say if is set session at what was the name of the variable I passed? Okay, username. This key is always very important. So if it is set session at index username, so username, I'll just do some simple. What did I do here? Sorry, this is supposed to be. If it says session at username, I could now do some simple bootstrap alert. So I'm going to close this PHP here. And let me say button. Oh, sorry. What should I put here? Okay, div dot btn alert success. And then I could now continue the PHP and echo out session at username. Close the PHP and PHP. Close this. I think this goes. So let me even add a span here. This thing inside. Let's just see if this is going to work. Okay, so now I just want to check if this actually works. Let me try to use some same credentials. Let me go to function. Okay, so let me come back here and oh, what's this? Okay, so let me go back to my user.csv file.csv and put in these same credentials. Refresh this, paste, and say Leon. Oh, I was wrong. I don't even know the password. Let me copy it. Paste the password and get this. So I could, let me see now. When I click on this, Okay, it brings me back to the login form, but it does not display session. So session at validation, no, this is not where I'm supposed to be. User action. Okay, session at the username. Come back to index of PHP, and I've not started the session. That was the error. So refresh this and immediately get this, right? So I could just kind of say, uh, hello, you are, guys, I'm soon done. Okay, so with this, let me try to destroy this session at the end. Uh, see this from the PHP. I want to copy this and paste it here, just for user name. If I refresh this, okay, it's no longer there. So if I do the same thing again, okay, in this case, something else, normally we've not handled that. But now if I do the right one, I click on enter, I keep on typing the wrong password here. So if I do the right one and click on enter, you see that, okay, we are brought back to this page, and that is how sessions are actually kept. Okay, so guys, I think that is it. I am not going to go further. Sorry, I've taken 60 minutes of your time. It's because I wanted to show you something. Sometimes you really need this most of the times. Okay. Yeah. So guys, I think that is it. About this, yes, I'll try to add it to the GitHub. Let me see. Yeah, I'll try to add it there. Okay. So I'll push it to that repository. You'll be able to access it there. So I think, can I end here, guys? Like, I have taken a lot of your time. Can I end here? All right, guys. Thank you very much. Let's call it a night. Good night to everyone.